I am so excited to introduce you to Lee Horbachewski, who is a photographer, mental health advocate, and an author. And she is the sponsor for the winner of the September online Weld About Nature Challenge with an 18 by 24 frame print of your choice. Following is just a quick interview I did with Lee to dive into her journey through mental health as well as photography. So welcome, Lee. I'm so excited that you are sponsoring the September online Weld About Nature Challenge, and I look forward to diving in and getting a bit more information about you and your journey through photography and mental health advocacy. And before we dive into that, though, I just want to do a quick land acknowledgement that we both live, work, and play on the traditional Treaty 7 territory of Southern Alberta. And this includes the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda, and the Métis Nation 3. And we want to acknowledge all the past caretakers, the current caretakers, and those who will caretake the land going forward. So with that, I met you, Lee, back in 2010 at a networking event. And what blew me away was here was this person who was so vivacious, had this awesome Aussie accent, and was dressed to the nines. And I had no idea what you were going to speak about. And you got up and you spoke about your journey with depression and your suicide attempts. And my mouth dropped because here I had looked at you as someone who had everything going for her. And then for you to share your story, it really, really hit me. And it made me realize how we can't look at people. We can't judge a book by its cover. There's just so much going on for individuals. And what really hit me was when you shared about being in the psych ward and considering taking your life again by a tree, but having a wee sparrow come alight in the tree. And I knew then that I needed to connect with you and give you the message of Sparrow. And the message of Sparrow is the fact that we all need to come together and be community and lift each other up and fight together. And that is what you're doing. And I'm so grateful that I approached you with that because we have stayed in contact since 2010, since that event.
Yes, we have. And I remember that moment like it was yesterday, you coming up to me. It always touches my heart and brings a smile to my face.
Thank you. Thank you. And what you have done, I think is absolutely incredible. You have actually created a book. When did you launch that book?
Well, I first self-published it in 2012. And sold 500 copies in like 3-4 weeks. And then in 2000, I had a depressive episode in 2012. And then in 2014, I republished it through Hay House's self-publishing arm, Balboa Press.
Awesome.
That was 2014, yeah.
And what I love about that book, it's called A Quiet, Strong Voice, correct?
Yes.
And what you do is you actually include snippets of your journey through mental health and depression. But then at the end of each chapter, you give little tips and suggestions for people to use that are incredible. And the thing I thought was really interesting was you said that when you were in the psych ward, you were given these huge books to read with so much text. And at that point, you couldn't even do your normal crosswords, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, one of the things, like when someone's in, the deep, dark depths of depression, focus and attention is just not there. Span of attention is just not there. And my psychiatrist or nurses would recommend a book from the hospital library. And I'd go see it. And as you said, I'd open it up and it'd be like this thick with tiny text written by mental health professionals. And what I really craved was actually reading something from someone who had experienced it. And, fast forward, I created that. So when I started, it actually didn't start off as a book. I had no plans on making a book. It actually started off as a blog series. And I had a huge following in the UK and had so many people saying, can you please publish a book? So I was like, okay, well, why not? So what was really important to me was actually create a book that was readable in under 2 hours. And I wanted to have large text. So it was really easy to focus on. I got turned back by so many publishers because they said it looked childish, like a child book, because of the font and the size of the text that I decided on. But it's easy to read, and that's what I wanted. And I actually took myself back and meditated and wrote from that place. And as you mentioned, at the end of each chapter, I'd say what I know now that I didn't know then. And the thing that I really wanted was this book that had a whole, plethora of tools. So one chapter is for, loved ones supporting someone with depression. Another chapter is, resources. So I just wanted it to be a one-stop place for inspiration, hope, and education.
Awesome. Awesome. And, the saying goes, if your book helps one person, it's done its job. I know that your book has helped many more than just one person. And if people are wanting to get the book, is it still out there available for people to
Yeah,
order?
it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. People can contact me through my website and I can send them a signed copy. So yeah, I'm actually in the works of doing an epilogue. Next year will be the 10-year anniversary of
Wow.
it being published. So I want to do an epilogue and just to update people on where I'm at now. And so that's the plan.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you for being a voice for so many. That's really, really important. And it's interesting because you've kind of had quite the journey, and you moved from writing the book to getting into photography, and you have a special mantra about photography, and can you just share that with us?
You know what, photography, I had to close my business in 2013. I had a pretty 2012, actually, a really bad episode that ended up in me almost taking my life. So I closed my business. I had a coaching practice, professional speaking, my book. And that Christmas, my husband gave me a camera and encouraged me to just go out into nature. And I started doing that in February. It took me a little bit because it was, I was grieving the loss of something that was a huge part of me. And I soon began to see that when you start playing around in camera, if the light outside is dark, all I'd need to do is adjust my ISO or so adjust a setting and it would be light. And I got to thinking, my God, what an incredible metaphor for life. When I'm feeling dark or darkness is approaching, I know all my signs. I just have to adjust some settings. Am I sleeping well? Am I eating healthy? Am I taking time for myself, meditating? So it's adjusting those settings, and there's light.
I love that metaphor. I love that metaphor. And it sounds easy, but it's not when you're in the depths of things, right? So
No.
having that little mantra definitely helps.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of you started out with just general nature photography, and then what was it that inspired you to start getting into wildlife photography?
Well, the interesting thing is I'm Australian, and when I first moved here, there was numerous reports in the news about Australians being attacked by bears. So I had a debilitating fear of bears. So we would go camping, and I wouldn't be able to sleep. I'd be so scared that a bear was going to come get me. So I actually found this photo tour by an incredible professional wildlife photographer, John E. Marriott, and it was a spirit bear workshop. So going to the Great Bear Rainforest in BC to photograph spirit bears, which are a black bear with a recessive gene that makes them white. And it was a 7-day trip. and being like literally 10 feet from these majestic, beautiful creatures was, I was heaven. It was absolute heaven. And I was hooked, just absolutely hooked.
I love it. I love it. That so it's facing the fear and doing it anyways, right? And
Yeah, that's another one of my mantras.
and I mean, some of the pictures that you got of those bears are just, you captured their spirit, right?
Well, what's interesting is I've lately been going back on the photographs from that, but back in those days, I did quantity over quality. So in one day, I took like 1,600 photos. So this past couple of months, I've actually been revisiting those photos and, editing them with the experience I have now. And it's just been such a gift to do that, to just be brought back to so many amazing moments.
That's awesome. And so that kind of leads me into my next question. And I know that this is a really hard one to answer, but is there one in particular incident or photograph that you took that is just your most favorite?
You know what? Yeah, that is a really difficult question because I believe every opportunity with wildlife is a privilege and a gift. So every time I get to have an encounter with wildlife is just, I'm beyond grateful for. Recently, actually this spring, after 4 years of searching, I finally photographed the boss, Banff's biggest grizzly. And it probably was the 6th encounter that I had with him in a month. And it was just me and him at about 4:30 in the morning. And the light was just starting to come up and it just was on, just on his back. And he just so powerful and majestic and beautiful. And that is definitely highlight. And also this spring, I got to have bear grizzly 142, which is a popular female in Banff National Park as well, breastfeed her cub.
Wow.
So and I got to share that with a Parks Canada employee, who was parked close by. And that is something that not many people get to witness, let alone photograph. And that was huge.
No, you were definitely blessed to see that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so you can feel your passion for photography, and what you've done is you're doing mindful photography retreats, and congratulations on selling out your September retreats. You have more of those coming up. Can you just explain a little bit more about those so that people get a sense of what to expect in the retreats that you have?
I've had this thought for quite some time. And then earlier this summer, my husband said, you know what, Lee, you've invested so much time and money into your craft. And I believe you're at a point where you can mentor and teach others. And it took his belief in me to take that step. And I've always envisioned incorporating mental health and creativity, because for me, it has helped me over the years tremendously. Photography has been my number one go-to, that's always there, that just helps me cope. So I wanted to create something different to most photo workshops that are out there today. And I've been on many, which I have loved every single one of them. And I wanted to create something where I tie in mindfulness and also encouraging people and teaching people how to be present and mindful while taking photographs. Too often I see people jump out of their vehicle location, pick out their phone and just snap a shot and get back in. I actually feel quite sad when I see that, because they're not really taking a moment to just look at the beauty that's surrounding them, and they're missing so much. So I really believe photography isn't just about capturing a beautiful image. I believe it's about connecting with what you're capturing, whether it be the landscape, whether it be wildlife, or even family members or friends. It's really about being present, which is what mindfulness is all about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they've actually done studies on how photography really helps with that mindfulness and that creativity piece, because you get to master a new skill, but you have to be really present in the moment. And especially with some, well, some birds, some bears, you have to be very aware of your surroundings and very quiet, for them to alight next to you and for you to photograph them. So you do
Yeah.
have to be very present. So
And people, I mean, people often say to me, there's something about your images. And I truly believe that's what it is whether it's a coyote or, an owl or even just a lake. I really connect with the scene. I have empathy for wildlife and compassion. I do not encroach at all on their space. I really I respect nature and everything within it. And I would like to share and impart and educate people about that, because that's another thing I see too much of, particularly in wildlife photography, is unsafe practices that are putting people and especially our wildlife at danger. So if I can impart just some wisdom and knowledge about that, that makes me happy.
that's amazing. There's two things that come up from that. I've been meaning to share this with you. I had my mom over, and I have your monthly calendar on my fridge, and she said, "Oh my God, that picture! You need to frame that. That needs to be framed."
Which one is that?
So that's for the month of August.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she was enamored by it. She really was.
Aw,
And I just thought I need to share that with you, because it was
thank
just so,
you.
and my mom is a real lover of nature and just the different light and the mountains and the sunrises and sunsets. So I just thought that was so sweet that she shared that, and I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. And now's the perfect time.
That's thank you for sharing that. That makes my heart happy. But that's it. That's also another thing about mindful photography is, I go to so many workshops and you're exhausted because we're getting up really early in the morning, you're staying up really late at night, to capture the best light. Mindful photography also, although, is really about accepting what is. So, not everyone can get up really early in the morning. Not everyone can stay up really late at night. You got a family, you're traveling in the middle of the day. So it's accepting what is and working with that. So teaching people to, how the different light and how to capture those harsh, what we call harsh, conditions. The other thing about the retreats that I really felt important was supporting small locally owned businesses. So all the retreats are small lodges and inns. And if they don't have dinner, I'm supporting like a local restaurant. So dinner is included as well. So I really just want to, bring awareness and support to the small businesses as well.
I love that you're doing that. I love that you're doing that. And you know what? You don't only support small businesses, you also support some mental health organizations, as well as some wildlife organizations. So I was just wondering if you could speak quickly to that.
Yeah, just Distress Center, as you know, saved my life in 2004. A call to their 24-hour crisis line literally saved my life. I felt heard and accepted. So ever since then, I've been a spokesperson, advocate, donor, and I will support them for as long as I can. I also volunteer and do the social media and content creation for Exposed Wildlife Conservancy. So it's a 1-year-old not-for-profit, and we focus on educating about apex predators such as grizzly bears, wolves, and cougars, predominantly in Canada, focused on Alberta. And we're actually just about to launch our documentary in the crosshairs about Alberta's threatened grizzlies. So I love these are two organizations that really speak to my values.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for doing that work. That's really important work, and look forward to hearing and seeing the documentary. That sounds incredible.
It is.
Yeah. Do you have an idea when it might be launched?
Tentative date is August 26th, next week. So
Oh, that's coming up.
we have a meeting, the team meeting, like going over our campaign and, inviting all the donors and everything. So and I'm really excited. A couple of my clips are actually in the documentary, a couple of my video clips.
Good
So
for you.
that makes me feel really special because John E. Marriott's photography and videography is incredible. So yeah, it's very exciting.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Congratulations. Keep us posted on where to see it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And you also help to support the Weld About Nature Challenge that I do. You are supporting it with an incredible 8x12 framed print for the month of September, but you've also participated in it in the past. And I'm just curious as to what you got out of participating in the online challenge.
Well, as you know, I've done it numerous times.
Yes.
I've received so much benefit from it. And it's actually mindful photography. The challenge stemmed even further my desire to do the retreats, because the challenge actually really helped me be completely present and open to things in nature. I love the ABC, I would go out, on one particular day looking for things that start with A in nature. Well, when you're good at something specific to look for, you see things that you wouldn't normally see. And it really, really helped me be present and be mindful of everything that's going on around me. So thank you for that, because and that's why I kept going back for more, because I just found that I was really present during the challenge. And I loved how the participants all sort of can connect and come together, and your leadership and inspiration is second to none. It's just amazing.
You're going to make me cry. But thank you. And that is something that just fills my heart, is when people say, you know what, I've gone out a million times before, I've walked by that area, and I have never noticed that until doing the challenge. And to me, that is the most important thing, because when we start to take notice of things, then we can love them, right? And name them, and then respect them, and then protect them. It's something that Richard Louv coined, and it's something that I'm really passionate about doing. So thank you. Thank you for that. Awesome. So do you have any closing thoughts for people watching, listening?
What's interesting is a post on Instagram yesterday, Serena's World. She's this amazing photographer with just beautiful images that are filled with pastels, but her captions are just heartfelt and thought-provoking. And she wrote this question. Okay, if you had the chance to send a 30-second message to the entire planet, what would you say? And I just thought that was brilliant. So I said, please respect and protect nature and all our precious wildlife. Be kind and compassionate to all. Mother Nature is sending humanity a very clear message. We must take action to protect this beautiful planet we are privileged to call home.
Oh, love that. Love, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. And I'm glad that she's getting thought-provoking content out there, because the reality is we're connected to nature, and anything we do to it, we do to us, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you again for taking this time to have a quick interview to just dive into a little bit deeper of, why mental health, why wildlife and photography is so important to you. And thank you once again for sponsoring the September challenge with your 8x12 print of the winner's choosing, which is a $325 value. That's huge. And I'm going to have one really happy winner. I know that.
I believe it was an 18x24, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry, 18x24. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, 18x24.
Nice, yeah, that's, I don't know if you can see
okay. You know what? Yeah.
Bison. Yep. Yes.
Awesome. That's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
thank you.
keep on shining your light out there. You're just a beacon of hope for so many people with all that you do. And I look forward to taking part in one of your wonderful retreats.
I look forward to that.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Lee.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Please be sure to visit Lee's website at leehorbachewski.com. And if you are interested in winning an 18 by 24 frame print of your choosing from Lee, make sure to sign up by August the 29th for the September online Wild About Nature Challenge. I look forward to getting wild with you.